Hello, everybody. I'm Shannon Ald. Thank you all so much for your time and your attention as I present my constructive speech today. To our instructor and judge, Kelly, thank you so much for your efforts to educate and judge us in a supportive learning environment. And to my fellow classmates and peers, thank you for sharing your thoughts and participating with me both during this assignment and throughout the course of the term. Good luck to all of us. Today, I negate the resolution, Oregon require proof of legal presence in the U.S. for driver's license initiative. Disadvantages. Xenophobic policies target marginalized communities. Subpoint A, background. Because of Oregon House Bill 2015 of 2019, undocumented folks can currently obtain driver's licenses and identification cards in Oregon without proof of legal presence in the U.S. This helps to support their efforts to be productive members of our society, regardless of where they're from. They're here now, and they contribute to their communities by being afforded the privilege to drive or the right to participate in activities that require official photo identification. Subpoint B, link. If this measure was passed, Oregon House Bill 2015 of 2019 would be repealed, meaning that anyone unable to provide a valid social security number or proof of legal presence in the U.S. would become unable to receive, renew, or replace their driver's permit, driver's license, or identification card. According to the text of the measure, quote, the state of Oregon shall not issue any driving right or privilege nor identification to any person who fails to provide proof of citizenship or legal presence in the United States, end quote. For someone unable to provide proof of legal presence in the U.S., such as an undocumented immigrant or an elderly or disabled person who may struggle to acquire a birth certificate or social security card, either of which can be required to obtain certified usable ID, a measure like this creates potential barriers to participating in daily life and international democracy. Those who would vote in favor of this proposal would be actively participating in efforts to create obstacles between the people and the right to vote. Per the website of the Oregon Secretary of State, residents of Oregon can currently register to vote online without an Oregon driver's license, permit, or ID card, but they must then print, sign, and deliver their voter registration card to the county elections office. If a person without a driver's license lives in a rural area underserviced by public transportation and is too far to complete this process realistically without driving, they are at the mercy of whoever is able to give them a ride to that location in order to ensure that they receive their ballot and be counted in our national democracy. This becomes an issue of freedom of speech being impeded by lack of resource. If you are personally untroubled by the notion of needing to present a valid government-issued photo ID in order to vote, you are likely unaffected by the struggles of the marginalized people who would negatively be impacted by the passing and implementation of this proposal. If you are in favor of creating these extra barriers between undocumented people and the right to vote, you may be influenced by xenophobia, which dictionary.com defines as, quote, an aversion or hostility to, a disdain for, or fear of foreigners, people from different cultures, or strangers, end quote. A Cambridge University Press article written by Erica Lee published online on December 13th, 2019, examining the development of American xenophobia notes that, quote, under the Trump administration, xenophobia is transforming a wide range of public policies, legitimizing racism and white supremacy, and impacting U.S. foreign relations, end quote. And according to a Pew Research Center article published on February 5th of 2019, over 10 million unauthorized immigrants lived in the U.S., with over 110,000 of those being our neighbors residing right here in the state of Oregon. As we are currently experiencing a time of xenophobia exposure in American society, we as American voters must act swiftly and decisively when presented with a xenophobic measure like this one, which would keep power and privilege in the hands of the powerful and the privileged, and which would escalate the challenges faced by marginalized undocumented people to establish and maintain their livelihoods. Subpoint C, impacts. The benefits of having a driver's license or ID card go beyond just driving. According to a January 2020 article by the Associated Press, at the time of publication, quote, 34 states required voters to show identification at polling places, and several others require IDs of voters the first time that they vote. That same article addresses the issue of voter fraud, which is the main concern of supporters of policies like this one, saying it does happen, but not often. Loyola Law School professor Justin Levitt is cited as being aware of less than 50 incidents of voter impersonation cases that would have been stopped with tougher voter identification requirements. 50 out of more than 1 billion votes cast in just federal elections. And the Heritage Foundation election fraud database has less than 1,000 incidents over more than 20 years, of which some are candidates performing fraud by vote buying. It's not just limited to voters. There is no credible reason to require proof of legal presence in the US in order to obtain a driver's license or identification card. If a measure like this is allowed to pass, we risk allowing xenophobia to gain momentum and further oppress already marginalized people by denying them privileges that come with the driver's license, like mobility, which has become increasingly necessary as gentrification pushes many under-resourced, undocumented people to rural areas, which are underserviced by public transportation and healthcare services. Without the ability to access job opportunities and social services like healthcare, undocumented people are denied the right to thrive in this country, and that is antithetical to the traditional American spirit of freedom and opportunity. Thank you so much for your time.